How will the Indian independent foreign policy will influence in shaping new world orders and make it globally acceptable?
I'm glad you brought up the G20 because we have not just taken up the G20 presidency, we have taken up the G20 presidency at a very important time in the world. Because the world economy was already having problems. We then had 3 years of COVID, which has been devastating for every society. Then you had the Ukraine conflict. You have a very large number of countries whose basic progress in education, in health, in the social sector, in employment is getting affected. Very large number of countries who are going into debt. You can see even in our neighborhood countries like Sri Lanka struggling, Bangladesh has turned to IMF. So there are very, very serious issues today happening in the world. So the first point about G20 is, how do you ensure that the right issues are being discussed by the 20 most powerful countries, most influential countries in the world? And our sense was that the conversations are not focusing on the right issues. Okay. So what Prime Minister decided to do, and we are the first G20 country to actually do this. He said, let us consult the countries who are not on the table. Okay. So you'll have 20 countries plus another 9 countries we are inviting as guests. So there are totally, let us say, 200 countries in the world. Okay. So there are another 120, 130 countries who will not be there. So we consulted them. Literally, that is the nature of Modi. That we spent 2 very intensive days, Prime Minister, 5 ministers, meeting, talking to our counterparts, consulting 125 countries. And coming from that, a sense that, look, these, in our view, are the issues today troubling the world. So when we go into a G20 meeting, I can honestly say as an Indian minister to the other 19 participants in the table, saying, look, I have spoken to 125 countries. These are their views. Now, I want you guys to also listen to these issues and focus on this issue. The second part of it is, G20 is an enormous exercise. There are about 200 meetings in the course of the year. Now, mostly countries do this in the capital city and 2 or 3 big cities. Okay? So, our way of doing it, and this was very much a kind of a democratization of foreign policy which we are trying to do, is to say we will do it in about 60 cities. We will do it across the states and union territories of India. And the reason for that is twofold. One, we want every city, every state, the entire country to be more aware of the world, because today in a globalized world, that is where our opportunities are. So when a G20 event happens, say you people in Bangalore, you are used to having foreigners come, you're used to investors coming, you're used to tourists coming, but not every city is like this. I've been to places in India where even the idea of a G20 meeting, everybody is very excited, very thrilled about it. For them, it's a big deal. But the other part of it is also this. If you take these 200 meetings and the number of people in the world who will come, these are the most powerful influencers of global opinion. Okay? We want them to see all of India, to see the diversity, to see the pluralism, to see the multiple cultures, the cuisines, the arts, and get back to their country with that more informed, fuller sense of India. Okay? So the motto which we have internally is G20 is about getting the world ready for India and India ready for the world. And that is really what the exercise is.